Razaban if IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I've had my brief on what I can ask you, Ben. How are you doing, mate?
Very well, how are you?
I'm good. Coventry, I know the skies aren't blue, but the weather's, it's okay.
I mean, I'm dressed for the skies being blue, but yeah, no, it's good. It's good to be here. We came here for the tournament, and we wanted to come to the Midlands a fair bit. We've not been here too many times, but every time you come, it's a big deal here. Sold a lot of tickets. It's going to be sold out on Saturday, so really looking forward to it. It's obviously local fighters, a lot of our younger fighters as well, and then Sam Eggington and the English middleweight title. It's got everything, and it's a Midlands special, definitely.
I was there obviously a couple of weeks ago at Richard Riakpor's fight, so we've gone from a fighter trying to achieve world dreams and world honours to an event on Saturday where we're looking for that next potential star.
Yeah, I think we've gone about our business quite openly and just wanted to sign the Olympians, wanted to sign who we thought was the next stars, whether it's Adam Azim as well, and they need their opportunities, and they want to be as high up the card as possible. To build superstars, they need to be seen, and Adam needs to be seen as much as possible. Carrie Sortingstall debuts, I think she's going to be special. She's almost like the dark horse of that Tokyo 2020 team, so looking forward to her getting started. And then Sam Eggington, to be honest, I wish he could be on a card for us every week. He's been in Fight of the Year twice. I've watched him. I actually thought he beat Cheeseman, and then obviously his last fight against Jik2 was incredible, and then he had this IBO world title opportunity come up, and I feel like he's still improving. So we just took that opportunity and thought, you know what, that's going to be a war. That English middleweight title between Tyler Denny and River Wilson. Ben stopped controversially last time, and again, there's so much to it, so much story to it, so many tickets sold, and it just made sense to come to the Midlands and do a bit of everything. Obviously, we had our two winners as well, Corey Gibbs, Dylan Chima. Dylan's from Coventry himself. Massive fan bases, and that's what it's about. You want fighters that not only are technically very good but have a big following, and that's what we got on this card, and looking forward to it.
But I know you haven't been with Sky a very long time, but there's a lot of platforms out there, Channel 5, Dazn, BT, Sky itself. There's a lot of criticism online that a lot of cards run thin. Is there enough talent in the pool to run between 4 or 5 different TV networks?
I think there is. I think, first of all, the sport's been starved of opportunities for fighters for so many years before now, that why complain now that fighters have an opportunity? Now, if you're thinking about whether you turn pro and you're an amateur boxer, you think, yeah, I'm going to turn pro, I'm going to get opportunities. So, one, I don't think it's a bad thing that there's that much opportunity. And two, I just think it takes promoters being sensible and working together and finding ways to work together. For us, it's a bit different. We had to start a stable from scratch from October. So, obviously, we're building our stable whilst having to put out shows to service Sky, and that sometimes is a process. For the established promoters, I imagine it's not a problem, but now we're getting to the stage where we've got the initial signings we want, the stable will start to develop really nicely, we've got headliners coming over, hope to be announced in the next few days, and it's been a process. And so definitely for us, I can see why it's difficult, especially in those early months and when we're building our stable. But I think for other promoters, they have established fighters, and it's fairly easy, and I think more opportunities for boxers are better, and as long as the promoters make fights together, then I think it's good. And it's amazing that so many broadcasters actually want to show boxing, whether it's Channel 5, BT Sports, Sky Sports, Dazn. Am I missing any? But there's a lot of options for fighters.
I know we had no boxing in January, but you had a solid start and a great start in February, followed it into March, April, May. Obviously, we know we were going to be in Manchester next week. That's been postponed now. So we've kind of come to the end, as far as we know, in terms of the schedule. But what is the schedule looking like into towards the end of July, August, September?
Yes, so just on that Fury Hunter card, the reason we postponed it, one, Huey's been waiting for that opportunity a long time. It's a final eliminator. I don't think we're going to put Michael in with someone else. We want that fight to happen. And in the end, that's what happened. Ricky didn't want to go on without that fight, and in the end it just made sense. And we've got a big show coming up on July 30th, hopefully being announced in the next couple of days, and that's where the fighters on that card will go to. And then we're into September 3rd and September 10th, so it is coming towards the first week. Our first show was October 2nd. We're getting towards the end of June now. It's been a crazy ride. It's been even better than I could have imagined. The fighters that we signed, the shows that we put on, and now we're getting to the point where it's starting to stabilise. We're starting to see the final pieces in the jigsaw come together. I can't wait, because it means from September now we're not rushing shows in 4 weeks' time. We're not rushing shows in 2 weeks' time. We have a stable. We can plan ahead. We can put on big headline shows. And I can't wait for that.
Talking about superstars, Anthony Joshua obviously put some stuff out, and his team, Eddie Hearn, about this alignment with Dazn. I know hasn't been an official announcement on broadcast in the UK, but what is your take on kind of the ambassador role, shares, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I think last time I said I didn't want to talk about it, and it's because I don't represent Sky, nor do I represent AJ. I think AJ is a fantastic ambassador for the sport. I think what he's done for the sport, no one can knock. We're all here today a bit from the Anthony Joshua effect. People talk about Amir Khan and what he did for anyone coming through that GB cycle, but Anthony Joshua took the sport to another level, and that's why he can pick and choose what he wants to do and who's going to offer him the best offer. And I think he's probably thinking, as you say, I'm not sure it's for the next fight or the next two fights, but he's going to take the best offer. He's going to take the most security for him, and good luck to him. And I think AJ should be celebrated. I think he's been incredible for everyone involved. And let's see where the next two fights end up. I know that the Saudis are keen on buying the fights out. I think everyone can see that now, and they'll probably decide what's best for them. And that's all that it is.
I appreciate you don't obviously speak for Sky Sports, but obviously you have a very close relationship with Adam Smith. You've had the upper hand over the last couple of months where you've signed Olympians, and you've got the better of people like Eddie Hearn, who's clearly said Sky are throwing a lot of money towards these fighters. So where do you think that Joshua bit may have gone wrong? Do you think Dazn just had too much money and offered him, all these extras?
I think Sky running it maybe a different way. They've focused on what's next and what's the next fight. And I think Dazn were prepared to put something guaranteed beyond these fights in the future, and Sky just couldn't match it. And Sky have to be sensible. They can only do 3 or 4 pay-per-views. I know for me and my fighters, it's a very big opportunity for them. And I'm saying to them, who wants to be the next box office star? We can only do 3 or 4 pay-per-views. But for the likes of the next Olympians, for the likes of Adam Azim, they're looking at that and thinking, this could be my chance over the next 18 months, 2 years. So I think in the end, AJ probably wanted that long-term security. Sky were focused on the next 1 or 2 fights, and in the end he made the decision that was best for him, best for his family, and good luck to him.
On your honest thoughts, do you think he will bring in the audience levels on Dazn that we've seen on Sky? He's touching 1 million on Sky?
I don't know. All I know is Sky is a monster, and I'm not deluded. The reason why fighters are signing with us, one, we had to prove that we could put on big shows and all that rest of it, and pay-per-view shows, and now they're like, right, Sky are committed, but I'm not deluded. Fighters want to be famous, they want to be on Sky, they want to have the marketing machine off Sky. We wouldn't have Anthony Joshua at that level if it wasn't from Sky. And I think that's all I know. This machine is incredible, and I've obviously only been in it since October, but the way, once they get rolling, the way they can build the sport, the way they can build fighters is unparalleled. I think for any fighter that's not just right at the end and has to take the best offer, it's the best place to be, and that's what's so exciting about being part of it.
Alexander Usyk spoke about this fight being very important to him, and the future goal, becoming the undisputed champion. In order for him to become the undisputed champion, he has to fight Tyson Fury. You got 500 million in your pocket?
I'd love to. Listen, wow, what a fight that will be. Tyson Fury, I love him, man. I think he's everything. Like he's like that underdog that, the one that wasn't meant to do it. And with AJ, looks the part, and it's always seemed like a smooth ride. With Tyson, incredible guy. I'd love to see him unify. I'd love to see him take that opportunity. Fingers crossed he's messing around and he does do it by the end of the year. Who knows? But yeah, obviously AJ's got a big chance in this Usyk fight, so we'll see what happens.
I want to touch on a couple other things outside of your boxing remit at the moment, Ben. Just touch on, actually I'll stick with yourself first. Frank Warren did an interview that I feel about you signing Joseph Parker, and how he had did he say gentleman's agreement, or he said a handshake agreement about him staying with Frank and obviously having that Joyce fight, and said that all he heard from Parker was that he's now signed with Sky. He said that he didn't come up to me, Frank saying, Joseph Parker didn't come up to me and say, Sky have offered me X, Y and Z, and for even Frank to even counter offer, but he found it bizarre that he was offered a deal and Joe just took it without speaking to Frank.
Yeah, I think in fairness to Joseph, if you look at it, if he'd signed with BT and Frank, he's got established heavyweights, let's be honest. He's got Daniel Dubois, he's got Joyce. He was never going to be high up the pecking order in what was going to be prioritised, and I think that's what it came down to. He wanted to go into a broadcaster, and he's got a history with Sky, obviously, with his big fights with Dillian and the big fights with AJ, and he wanted to be looked after, not looked after in terms of not the right fights, but know that he was their guy and he was prioritised, and so I can't blame him. What I would say is, he wants the big fights, and we've already put an offer into the Warrens of 1.2 million, which I think is more than Joe was going to get for fighting Joseph anyway. Now, I appreciate that for Joyce to come onto Sky, it's a big thing, but when Joe's in that position in his career, he needs those big fights as well. He's in line for a world title, but also he wants to become a superstar. He wants to raise his profile. So why can't he have a fight on Sky Sports box office and then return? I like to think I've got a good relationship with George Warren. I've sent that in. I don't think the bad blood's with me at all. I think whatever's happened between Joseph and his team, it probably did drag on. You don't like to see it, but those fights are still there, and we want Joseph to have the big fights, whether it's Joyce, whether it's Dillian Whyte rematch. He's ready for it, and the great thing about Joseph is he wants to fight everyone. He wants to fight anyone, and that's why we signed him. We want to get involved in the heavyweight division, and we want Joseph to be in the biggest fights possible, and we have that Sky Sports box office platform that's always going to be attractive.
Have you heard back from Queensberry from that offer?
I don't think they fancy it right. Look,
what did they say?
I think it takes a bit of time to get over perhaps what's happened with Joseph and this and that. Maybe it'll make sense in a week or two. I really do think it makes sense for both parties.
But do you also understand from Frank's perspective, you don't want your best fighters to go on a rival network. You know, they're trying to build their own portfolio of fighters, and just like you are on Sky, Frank said clearly that, where is Joseph Parker going to go? Who is he going to fight? He's got an opportunity to fight Joyce, and if he beats him, he becomes a mandatory, and we're not far from August 20th, and we're not sure what the WBO are going to do. We're not sure what the WBA are going to do, because obviously Dubois holds the regular belt. But do you understand it from their perspective? Why would we send our star fighter on your platform?
Well, first of all, he returned to BT a much bigger star than he left if he fought on Sky Sports box office. It's one fight, and for Joseph, he's highly ranked in the WBO as well, number 2. WBC's highly ranked as well. He believes he's going to get his world title opportunities. Doesn't have to be Joyce next. It could be Dillian Whyte rematch. There's big fights in the heavyweight division now, and Joseph will take his time. He's 30 years old. For us, he's come into his prime now. We've seen him improve under Andy Lee. He was a world champion very, very young, and I think he'll get his opportunity again, and he doesn't want to rush it. If he goes to fight in BT, where does it leave him? Does he get, even if he wins, does he have to do the rematch? Does he have to do this? When's he actually going to be prioritised? And I think that's fair enough. And I hope both parties can see eye to eye going forward. I know Tyson has a great relation with Frank. Tyson has a great relationship with Joe as well. And I'm sure it just takes a few days and everyone will be friends.
Dillian Whyte, you just mentioned him now. He keeps putting stories up on his Instagram that he wants to smoke, he wants war, he wants to fight. Do you think we'll see him on Sky?
I think we could. I think every broadcaster is going to want Dillian. I think that wasn't him against Tyson. I've been watching him for obviously a long time, as everyone has on Sky. Incredible character, incredible heart. I think he wants to prove that he can go again. And there's some massive fights again out there for him, and he knows that. And I expect him to fight again this year. We'll see where it is, but definitely I expect him to fight again this year.
You teased me earlier in the interview saying that you're going to announce some signings. Any indication of who they can be? Are they fully fledged professionals, young up-and-coming professionals? Are they debutants?
I think our key was focus on the younger talent. Let's build them. This is a place to build them on Sky. But now I think, given we're starting to stabilise, been on it 8 months, we're starting to see the headliners come across, hopefully. And in the next week or so, there's some major signings, and obviously it's something we've worked towards for a long time. We couldn't get them at the start. Either they're in contract, or they're not sure about myself, or they're not sure about whether Sky committed. Now we're getting to the fun part where we can actually attract the best fighters in the country, and I'm looking forward to it, because it's been trying to put on shows on such a big TV channel like Sky, where 250,000 people are watching it, even for your smallest shows, and you're scrambling around building your stable. We're now getting to the end of that, and now the shows will start to speak for themselves, and that's a big milestone for me and the team that have had to work relentlessly against the backdrop of having no fighters. So yeah, next week or so should be big.
Just finally, Ben, I know you said it's been about 8 months since you've been in this game properly like this. How are you coping? How are you finding it? How are you finding the pressures of fighters, networks, media, fans, just to live up to standards that they expect?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I love it. It's a dream, like to be in my position. It is hard work. It is a lot of pressure in terms of, as I say, like I'm competing against promoters that have been in the game so long. We're coming in, we've been in 5 minutes, and we're having to do what we do. But so far, it's been smooth. I think from a media point of view, it's a lot to get used to. I'd never done an interview, and it probably comes across, but I'd never done an interview until I knew the business. I studied the business. We were ready. We spent 4 or 5 years in a front shop of an estate agent. That's where we were planning how we were getting and doing different shows and just being ready. But nothing can prepare you for the amount of attention and things like that. And it is difficult. It was the first interview I ever did was September last year, and now the attention's building every time we sign a fighter, it's building. So it's a learning experience, 100% learning experience. But I'm very proud of my team because we've come from absolutely nowhere and nothing, and we feel like we're doing a very good job, and so far so good.
Ben Shalom, IFL TV, thank you very much.
Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.